Welcome back to a special anniversary today. Dude, you could call this a holiday if you want, because to me, one of the most iconic heavy metal albums came out on this day 41 years ago on April 25th, 1980. I'm talking about Black Sabbath's ninth studio album and the first with the legendary late great Ronnie James Dio. I'm talking about Heaven and Hell. What more could be said about this masterpiece? Man, I'll tell you what. Now, Ryan, I'm going to let you begin to stream actually. And
Yeah.
let's tell me your history with the Heaven and Hell album first off.
Well, yes. And before I get into the history of this album, I wanted to warn you all about this is kind of a little teaser for what's to come in part 2 of my Black Sabbath retrospective on which will be everywhere, Utreon and YouTube. Yes, it will be on YouTube and everything else making a comeback on YouTube. But anyway, let's get into my notes as I've written down everything about this. Shortly after the dismal failure that is Never Say Die,
And that is so true.
Black Sabbath fired Ozzy Osbourne. Well, to be more blatant, Tony Iommi fired him, but he had sent Bill Ward to tell him that Tony had fired him. Obviously, Ozzy got, was broken about this, went, doing alcohol and drugs and all that stuff. And then obviously Sharon would go and save him and have him get his life back together. And obviously he would go on to do the solo thing and have a very successful solo career. Black Sabbath, on the other hand, as he mentioned, would go on to try and find a vocalist. And it was at the suggestion of Sharon that they would recruit Ronnie James Dio. The
Right
guy
on.
who does this. Who I believe at that time had just left Rainbow at the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and basically it would be this lineup, and obviously they would go in the studio and would eventually record said album that is having an anniversary today, Heaven and Hell. Which, in some technicality, because later on they would change their name to this, they would go back to this album and change their name to the name of this album, Heaven and Hell. So technically, I really don't consider it to be a Black Sabbath album. I consider it to be Heaven and Hell's self-titled debut.
Right. Makes sense. Right on. Well, I can tell you my little history with the album. I actually first found out about this album pretty late. I mean, I was like 17 when I found out about it. I already knew all the Aussie stuff, right? Anyways, I'm at a friend's place. It was around New Year's of 1997, to be exact. Okay, I just turned 18. Yeah, New Year's Eve 1997, I'm at a friend's place. We're looking through his records, right? And I see these Black Sabbath albums that I never really saw before in his record collection. I mean, he had stuff in there like Iron Maiden, Motorhead, old stuff too, like Leonard Skinner and, the Allman Brothers Band. But anyways, Heaven and Hell and the Mob Rules were in there. And on the back, I noticed it was Ronnie James Dio. And I'm like, whoa, I never saw these Black Sabbath records before. Well, my friend turns around and he goes, oh, you don't want to hear them. You don't want to hear them. They don't have Ozzy. They suck. And at the time, I'm 18, not knowing any better. I'm like, all right, whatever you say. But then I got more mysterious about them. Now, it was around 98 when I finally decided, you know what, I want to hear these albums that my friend told me supposedly sucked. And at this time, I had already heard my first Black Sabbath album without Ozzy, which was Tear with Tony Martin. And I got even more curious because I actually really enjoyed that album. I'm like, okay, this dude's feeding me a bunch of bullshit, if he's telling me that Black Sabbath without Ozzy sucks because I really liked Tear at the time. Anyways, I bought Heaven and Hell on cassette tape. I loved it. I loved it. I'm like, to this friend of mine, I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? This fucking album's amazing. And that's how I first actually heard Heaven and Hell, and I've been a massive fan since. And I dove even deeper into the Dio catalog because at that time, earlier on, back when I was about 12, I had bought Lock Up the Wolves on cassette tape. This would have been around 90 or 91. At the time, I didn't like it. I didn't get it. I was so into thrash too at the time too, and starting to kind of get into death metal around this time. So everything I wanted was fast and aggressive. It didn't take me years later to appreciate, Ronnie James Dio a little more. And right now, to me, Dio is easily the greatest frontman in heavy metal music. To me, this album is a masterpiece. I guess what we could do right now, we can go into a track by track analysis and talk about each track. And I'll let you begin, Mr. Ryan.
Well, I didn't necessarily write them by track because obviously when I do this, it's mostly going to be, we're not going to want to waste a lot of time with this. So I really just came up with a summary and all that stuff. But I will say, Neon Nights, freaking awesome. I absolutely loved listening to that song. Very, very fast, very speedy, kind of speed metal a little bit. Because it's on my notes, I have on here hints of epic doom, power, speed, groove, and new wave of British heavy metal. Because obviously at the time, that's when it was picking up. It was starting and all that stuff with all those other bands. And really, it was. You start off with Neon Nights. It's a banger of a song.
Oh my god, it's a banging way to begin the album. Now, yeah, right away you noticed Black Sabbath is back after, the disjointed messes of.
Yes, I wrote on here a musical breath of fresh air in comparison to their previous album. Musically, they're back in the heavy metal stuff. It's a breath of fresh air. It was like, yes, they're back to doing heavy metal.
Right, exactly. And like I'm saying, yeah, man, this is such a vast improvement over Never Say Die and Technical Ecstasy. Because, the band was in turmoil at the time, about to break up, and they needed something. Ozzy had to go at the time. And Ozzy had a successful solo run, obviously. But at the time, they got Dio. Right away, you notice. This sounds a bit different. There's something different about this Black Sabbath. It's definitely back to, like, the heavy metal. And that's the premises right here. It's heavy metal. Where, like, the earlier albums were more like, kind of like doom metal, sludge metal, maybe, like, as far as, like, what they've pioneered when it comes to metal. And, the sludge metal, the doom metal, the maybe stoner metal, and, stuff like that. Where here, it's like, this kind of has more of an early power metal sound. And definitely, that new wave of British heavy metal sound because of Ronnie James Dio coming aboard. And another thing I think that really adds to this new Black Sabbath sound at the time is the production of Martin Birch, who Martin Birch obviously produced Deep Purple, White Snake.
I also happen to notice that this was also, they didn't just get Ronnie James Dio, they also got Jeff Nichols. He would be with them up until, say, Forbidden. He would be kind of basically the band's keyboardist. But he was never credited and stuff.
Right.
until
Exactly.
maybe later on.
He was pretty much like the ghost fifth member of Black Sabbath when he came aboard.
Yeah.
But yeah, to get Martin Birch, who had worked with Deep Purple, Whitesnake previously, Rainbow previously, so he had already worked with Ronnie James Dio prior, and I think that really added. And obviously, Martin Birch would go on to work with another multi-big heavy metal band, Iron Maiden, as you all know. So yeah, I think the production on this album is definitely a step up from what they had previously. You can definitely hear that Martin Birch production influence, and it works. Another thing I'm going to take note on here is Tony Iommi's guitar playing is vastly improved. He is doing some amazing guitar solos on this album. My God, that solo in Neon Nights, freaking excellent. The last track, Lonely is the Word, oh my God, that solo is just epic and phenomenal, man, I'll tell you. It's just absolutely brilliant, when you listen to it. And there's other tracks too, like Children of the Sea that has great guitar work.
Oh,
And
yes,
obviously the
work.
title track.
I'm trying to remember if this is the song, but it's like just the guitar, and then you go into like some Dio was doing something. Like I'm pretty sure this was the song where it said, "Oh, I forgot that or something," but it was this really, really, beautiful, beautiful harmonies from Dio. Oh my God, it's
right,
so good.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing what Dio brought to the table, and you can definitely feel Dio's presence. I'll tell you what, man, he puts on a phenomenal vocal performance on this album. Like anything he touches, it's phenomenal. No matter what Dio touches, he always does have great vocal performance, and on here it's no exception. It's amazing, especially on tracks like Die Young. Oh man, I remember the first time I saw the video for Die Young way back in '98. Yeah, because I bought the Black Sabbath Story Volume 2, which is the part 2 of Black Sabbath, the non-Aussie years. It talks about Dio, Tony Martin, Glenn Hughes, and Ann Gillan, that era. And it has Die Young on there, the video, and that video just mesmerized me and hypnotized me when I first saw it. I couldn't believe it. I mean,
yeah,
just a phenomenal vocalist who is still missed all these years later.
Definitely.
But we're looking at the chat right now. We got Speed King here. Welcome to the chat. We got King of Swords. Mike Ross here too. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what. Just a phenomenal album here. Now, notably too, I did hear rumors a while back. Now, I don't know if there's I haven't seen actual proof of this. Supposedly, there's a version of Children of the Sea with Ozzy doing the vocals. I've never seen it. Demoed. I don't know how accurate this is. It's just a rumor, really. Only Tony Iommi and the band knows if it's accurate or not.
Yeah, pretty
it'd
much.
be interesting to hear. But yeah, this is a legendary album. 8 tracks of just absolute greatness. The title track, Heaven and Hell, gee whiz. Right away, man. That song just blows you away when you listen to it.
Yeah, yeah, just that iconic. That's the song where I think to myself, it's like that epic doom feel. It's got that dooming feel to it, but it feels more epic. And that's where I think that's where the precursor of what epic doom would be, where bands like, say, Candlemass would eventually do.
Right, exactly.
And Anagram to some extent.
Right. But yeah, Heaven and Hell.
More so Candlemass, stuff like that. They would do more of that epic doom sound, and it's because of this song. It is. I didn't want to put it because it is such an iconic song from them, but you can't deny its importance. Like the title track is a big deal for this band, and and for Sabbath in some cases. Even though
Right,
this
exactly.
is Sabbath, it is an important song to Black Sabbath's history.
It's very important. And obviously, Dio would go on to play it live. Once he went solo and split from Sabbath, he still kept it in his set. So it's definitely a very important track. Yeah, it's got that, like you said, it's doomy.
No,
But it's got like,
but it's a lot. It's
yeah,
not like traditional doom. It's that
right.
epic doom.
Yeah, it's like the epic doom, kind of like, yeah, it's like a predecessor to what bands like Candlemass would do, you know, and other bands, in that style. Like Trouble, for instance, would kind of do kind of that style early on, like on albums like Psalms 9, you know. So yeah, man, it definitely, I do think this album definitely is an inspiration and a huge influence on epic doom metal too. Definitely power metal. There's so many power metal bands and traditional heavy metal bands that are influenced by, Ronnie James Dio in this album, you know,
Easily.
guys like Jag Panther, Axel Rudy Pell, you can definitely hear that Black Sabbath Heaven and Hell influence in their writing.
Yeah. And then you get you mentioned some fast songs. I think you mentioned Die Young, where I remember hearing that, and that was really fast and very more speedy kind of thrash. I wouldn't say thrash, but it's more of that speed metal. And like I said, Neon Nights is kind of that fast, aggressive style.
Right. I agree. I mean, yeah. Yeah, they're more fast paced, Definitely pretty much a predecessor in what you would hear in, fuck Iron Maiden. Even bands like Iron Maiden, man, definitely. Like on tracks like,
Charlotte the Harlot comes to mind.
Charlotte the Harlot, yes.
The
Fucking Number of the Beast.
Iron Maiden, that comes to mind.
Yep, Ganglands, tracks like that.
I'm trying to think of any Bruce stuff. The Trooper to some extent.
Yeah, definitely the Trooper. Yep. So Iron Maiden definitely did
even while it was pulling up a Seventh Son, only the Good Die Young and the Evil That Men Do are pretty speedy like.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep. Exactly. It's pretty interesting too. Die Young was actually the last track written for this album. And well, they needed another track, to fill the album, and they were like,
Night would be, I believe, the last song that I think that was Neon Nights was the last song they were.
Maybe it was Neon Nights. It's either Neon Nights or Die Young. I kind of forget. Maybe it is actually Neon Nights. But yeah, they wanted to.
The album was the last song they wrote.
Yep, they're like, should we do a slow song or should we do a fast song? They're like, let's do a fast song. And Dio's like, okay, we can do this. So that's pretty much how that went.
I'll have to check that out. He said that Primal Fear had covered what was it? He mentioned Die Young. He said that they covered Die Young. I know you're.
That's weird.
I'm sure at some point you might have heard that cover.
I might have heard it. I can't really remember it. I do know Anthrax covered Neon Night. They did a really good cover of that.
Who was the singer? Joey?
Yeah, Joey actually did the vocals.
I think he's got that operatic. He's got that soaring vocal. I think he could easily pull it.
Oh, yeah. So they did a really cool cover version of it. I know when I saw Anthrax live, Oh, geez, this would have been almost 11 years ago now because this would have been back when worship music was coming out.
What about to? That would have been '09
Yeah,
or
yeah, it
something.
was 2010. So, yeah, it was about a year before worship music came out. I mean, they were already playing Fight Until You Can live at this point, but in the set, they actually did a teaser and played a little bit of the track Heaven and Hell. And it sounded freaking good, man. And the crowd got into it, and Joey definitely pulled it off. It was freaking good, man.
Oh yeah, I think they might have did. I think there was a little bit where they put it in between. It was like a little hidden thing in for like Indians, I believe.
It was Indians, if I remember
And then they
correctly.
were like, "Holy fucking shit! Wow, this is." I didn't know it, but now looking back, I'm like, "Holy fucking shit!" They covered Heaven and Hell. Fuck yeah, hell
Yeah. I mean, they didn't play the whole song, but they played like a bit of it just to pay tribute to Ronnie James Dio, because obviously in 2010 is when we all, sadly lost Ronnie James Dio, you know,
yeah.
which to me still hurts the metal community big time to this day,
Yeah.
because Ronnie James Dio was just such a powerful vocalist.
Yeah, if anyone can pull off doing that style, Joey could pull it off easily.
Exactly. Yep, and he did. He did good. But you got other tracks on here. Like another track I like, which is more of a deep track on here, it's Wishing Well. I think that's a really good track too.
I
know.
remember enjoying it, but I thought it was one of those moments where I was like, comparing it to say Die Young, Neon Nights, Children of the Sea, the title track, and Lonely as the Word. I felt like it might have been one of the more weaker moments on the album.
Right. All right, we got John Lucio in the chat. Lucio in the chat, excuse me there. Hey guys, how's it going? Speaking of covers, Death Angel did a killer cover of the title track on the Dream Calls for Blood album.
Oh, they did Heaven and Hell. I'll check that out.
I might have heard that. It's been a while. I'm going to have to look it up and listen to it again because now I'm kind of curious to listen to it.
Yeah, same here. Like I was listening to, I think recently, kind of a death metal. I don't know if they are, but a band called Hideous Divinity covering Delirium Trigger from Coheed and Cambria. I'm like, a death metal band covering one of my favorite prog rock / prog metal bands. That was kind of interesting, but it was like, oh, but this sounded great.
Well, I know there's been other artists too that did cool covers of some Sabbath tracks from Heaven and Hell.
I'm trying to remember. There was Carnifex. They covered Rain and Blood. It was like, this is what Rain and Blood would sound like if a death metal band did it. If they just got death metal vocals, it was like, yes, finally. Someone did a death metal version of Rain and Blood, finally. I always said Slayer is like a death metal band without the death metal vocal. We're getting off track. Let's talk about Heaven and Hell.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and we will talk about that in another episode, definitely.
Yeah,
but yeah, back to Heaven and Hell. Now I know Jag Panther does a really cool cover of Children of the Sea, which I definitely recommend you guys check out. It's an excellent cover. Doro does a great cover. Oh wait, that's the Ox. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to mention that one. Doro Pesh did a cover of Egypt. The Chains Were On, but that's a whole nother album. Because if that's from Dio's The Last of Mine, I'm kind of getting myself off track too. Because I could talk about Dio all freaking day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got Lady Evil, which is more of a rocking track,
That was another one I liked. I didn't write it, but I did actually enjoy it.
Yes, really cool track. Excellent track indeed. I mean, a lot of people would say it's probably a weak track. I don't think at all.
No,
honestly, I don't think there's a weak track on here. Now, 1982, 1980 was a really interesting year. In fact, I talked about 1980 quite a bit last year on this channel. I did some reviews for 1980. I did my top albums of 1980. I was kind of
Yeah,
late on that video.
yeah, definitely. Aside from
I
Heaven
mean,
and
my
Hell,
God,
albums that come to mind from 1980: Iron Maiden, self-titled, Motorhead, Ace of Spades,
Ace of Spades.
Judas Priest, British Steel, Diamond Head, Lightning to the Nation, Ozzy Osbourne, Blizzard of Oz.
Yep.
What else came out in 1980?
Angel
True.
Witch, the debut by Angel Witch. Saxon had Wills of Steel and Strong Arm is the Wall also in 1980. So they had two albums in 1980. The debut album by Def Leppard, On Through the Night.
Yes, yes, yes.
Obviously, AC/DC, Back in
Back in
Black.
Black. Yeah, I totally forgot about that one.
You got Rush, Permanent Waves. I mean, there was a lot of great albums coming out
There
in
was a rolling.
1980.
I know there was a Rush Permanent Waves.
Yep.
You know, that came out in
So you got
1980.
yep. Crocus, Metal Rendezvous, another great album that came out in 1980. Let's see, you got the debut by Tigers of Pantang, Wildcat, that came out in 1980. I think the first Girls' School album came out in 1980. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of albums that came out in 1980 that were absolutely good. In fact, 1980 is probably one of my all-time favorite years when it comes to heavy metal releases, just due to the fact that when this
I
stuff
remember
came,
the Elder from Kiss. I believe that came out in 1981. 1980. Oh, no, wait.
1981.
Oh, that was 81. Yeah, right. Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Oh yeah. Let's see. You had a couple stinkers in 1980. Kiss Unmasked. That's the one that came
Yeah,
out in
that's the
19.
Kiss album. Yeah, I knew there was a Kiss album in 1980, though.
Yep. Well, Ryan's not here at the moment. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So yeah. All right, he's back. He might have got booted, but we will let him back in. Heck yeah, Headhunter is an awesome album. Right, Ryan is back.
I left by accident. I was trying to click the chat and I clicked the leave button by accident.
I was gonna say you either accidentally hit a key or you might have got booted for a second. I don't know, but okay, we know what happened.
It was accidental.
But my goodness, yeah, 1980. I was just telling people why you got booted that I believe 1980 is probably one of my favorite years when it comes to heavy metal music, because when a lot of this stuff was coming out, it was new, especially with the new wave of British heavy metal. It was all new, and
Yeah,
it's
I
definitely an
get that, but
interesting year.
I agree with you on that. But for me, if there was a time period for me that I thought was releasing some of the best, it's either a toss-up between the late 80s, early 90s, and the late 90s and early 2000s, where some bands were putting out fantastic albums.
Oh, definitely.
Because obviously the late 80s, early 90s, that's when grunge was taking over, and then the new metal in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Bleh. That's what I'm thinking.
1980 is a great year. Those early 80s did produce some great, fantastic albums. I will admit that. So it's up there.
Right. Oh yeah, it's definitely a great year. I mean, you had other bands too that put out albums in '80. Oh yeah, Bruce Dickinson's first band, Samson. Well, the first band he was in, Samson, put out Head On in 1980, which that's obviously before Iron Maiden. And interestingly, has an early version of the Ides of March on it. It's called something else at the time, but yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, they're definitely not a part of hair metal.
I would say
When Def Leppard,
they would early on. Hell no. It's when they got on to the hysteria stuff. That's when they started getting on it, but early
Like,
on, hell freaking
yeah,
no.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
they
On
were
through
on
the
that new wave of British heavy metal, kind of the hard rock too. You know, they were kind of
yeah,
like they were on that line of like Motorhead. They were more of the rock and stuff like that. It was
yeah,
like, Pyromania was kind of borderlining it, and then they started really getting into the glam side when they did Hysteria and stuff like that.
right. But to me, oh, I agree. On Through the Night is definitely a new wave of British heavy metal album. That in their 1979 EP, definitely new wave of
When
British
it
heavy
comes to the
metal.
Def Leppard stuff, I want to be able to get High and Dry, Pyromania, Hysteria. I loved it. I love that album. Adrenalize and what was it,
Oh,
Retroactive, that '94 album they put out, the compilation thing. But
that was actually good.
those would probably be it for me when it comes to Def Leppard. I would maybe listen to On Through the Night because I've never listened to that.
Oh man, you gotta listen to it. Such a different Def Leppard. That one's definitely straight up new wave of British heavy metal. The EP from '78, straight up new wave of British heavy metal. Probably their rawest sounding releases too before they got Mutt Lange. High and Dry is definitely a
Which
classic.
at the time he wasn't a bad choice, because what he'd been working with ACDC on, what was it? His first album with them was Highway to Hell.
Yep, yep,
And then
exactly.
freaking Back in Black, and then For Those About to Rock. Three killer albums with the band.
Yep.
So I was thinking, oh, it's gonna be great. You're getting Robert Mutt Lange,
Oh,
who had done 3 straight ACDC, and now we're thinking, oh, it's gonna be great.
High and Dry is a
And
fucking
they show
masterpiece.
promise when they did Pyromania, like, freaking yeah.
Pyromania was still good. Hysteria, that's when it all ended. Like Hysteria is one of them albums. I loved it when I was a kid when I didn't know better, but now that I'm older, I cannot stand it. I mean, I do have Hysteria on cassette tape. I still actually have it, but it never gets played.
Wow.
But yeah, the only Def Leppard albums I like, obviously the first 3, the EP. I actually do like that retroactive one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to Def Leppard. Well, anything else we want to cover on the Heaven and Hell album? I think I pretty much said what I needed to say.
Yeah, I would say when it comes to this album, fucking tastic.
Hell yeah. Oh my god. Come on now. It's a 100 out of 10. A 1,000 out of 10.
I wouldn't say that.
It's a masterpiece, in my opinion.
I would say it's a
Perfect
solid.
album.
It's a solid 9.5 for me. It would be a solid 9.5.
I can handle that. But
I
yeah,
would,
to me, it's
I
a
would
10 out of
praise
10.
other albums later on, pretty much, and I would think they might be close to a 10. Like I wouldn't even have given Master of Reality a 10. I think it was more 9.75. I would say Paranoid's a 9.75 because I feel like those were a lot better because they were more stronger and a lot better. But I dare say this album is definitely top 5 material easily.
It's just amazing to me what a comeback Sabbath made when Heaven and Hell came out.
Yeah, considering how boring listening to freaking that Never Say Die. There were like a few songs from that was like pretty good. The rest were just completely boring for me. Yeah,
I agree.
They literally turned it around on Heaven and Hell easily.
Big time. And that's what they needed to do, man. That's exactly what they needed
to
do.
make a kick-ass hard rock heavy metal album, and that's exactly what they did.
Well, speaking of the Mob Rules, it turns 40 this year, and we will be talking about it. Oh yes, you better.
I will not. I will
damn
try
well
not,
guarantee it.
I will tease that too, but obviously after that, you know,
Yep. Oh my God.
the rest of
Yes,
the
we will
albums
definitely
that I
talk
will
about
talk
that.
about when it comes to this side of Black Sabbath, stay tuned for part 2 on my channel.
Yep.
I will say that,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. I will say that obviously I think I've mentioned that I haven't mentioned, but obviously that Sabbath part 2 is going to be a collaborative effort, not by me and Ben here, but I'm in talks with doing this collaboratively with another guy. I don't know if y'all have heard of him. His name is Liam Winfield, and he's been doing retrospectives, and he's closing out his current season with Black Sabbath. He's doing it from part 1 and part 2. So I'm gonna be with him, and then our both me and him, his version's gonna be on his channel, and my version's gonna be on my channel. So
I keep meaning.
hopefully there's gonna be some differences from ours, editing wise, obviously.
Right.
It's
I keep
going to
meaning
be
to.
relatively. Some moments are going to be similar to each other, but
Yeah.
it's something to stay tuned for. Obviously,
Right on, man. I agree. Sabbath definitely needed Dio in that time period. I agree. Absolutely. Oh yeah, man. I've been meaning to check out his channel more. I did find his channel, but I kind of actually forgot about it
Liam's.
till you actually mentioned it that he does retrospectives too.
Yeah,
So I
like I said,
definitely
he's
want
closing
to look
out.
his channel up.
He's closing out. What is this? The second season with Black Sabbath. He already did part 1 recently.
Right.
And I'm going to be with him for part 2. I showed him the thumbnail and all that stuff, and it's. I'm not going to spoil the thumbnail for it, but y'all will, when you see it, it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's the best thing I've ever done, but it's a pretty cool thumbnail that I will say.
Right. Speaking of which, I was actually thinking about this the other night because I was actually going to do a stream Saturday night and I decided not to do it. um, but there's a lot of like underrated YouTube channels out there, and I kind of want to write these YouTube channels down and give them a shout out because I like to do stuff like that. That's something a lot of YouTubers don't do. I think a lot of YouTubers should do more of that, shout other channels out, especially smaller channels that are trying to get off the ground, you know?
Yeah,
So I
but
definitely want to
I'm
do
here
that.
I'm here like probably my channel might be better because considering the fact that everybody has had more subscribers than the channel y'all are on, I'm like, how is it that you and I don't know about Mike, but I know majority of y'all on my channel have more subscribers on your channels than me. I'm like, God dang it. That's kind of
Yeah.
pathetic.
I mean, it's really no competition,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's not a competition at all. I'm just
If
like,
you
I want
enjoy
more people. Oh, on thrash metal? Well,
thrash metal, yeah.
John, to say the
Well,
least, we cover
I cover thrash metal quite
everything.
a bit.
We pretty much can cover everything, rock and metal. We be open to doing. We're open. I'd say we're open to doing everything. You know, whether
Right.
it be it doesn't have to be some rock or
Which,
metal or something like that. We're open to everything.
right. Except for top 40 bullshit. I will not talk about top 40 music.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
there will be some
That's a no no.
exceptions. I would
Unless you
there
want a
might be
bad
some
review on it.
some of them are when it comes to something like that, it would be more from my time, pretty much.
Yeah, I won't do
like
it.
pretty much that whole '90s era because. Yeah, my start with metal didn't start until maybe, or rock and metal didn't start until 2003, somewhere around there. So I'm late to the whole metal thing. But yeah, for the amount of time I've been in metal, I've been looking into smaller bands.
Right. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I mean, I'm always looking up bands.
Which, John, if you're still in the chat, you're more than welcome to subscribe to us. You know?
Yeah,
Just
he might be subscribed.
Damage Incorporated. We're trying to I'm not trying to make this a competition. I'm just trying to I just want more subscribers. I want to be up
Of
there with
course.
Ben. I want to be up there with Julian. I want to be up there with King of Swords and Mick Watkins and Xavier. I want to be up there with having a lot of subscribers. That drives to be
Of
like,
course.
I want to have a lot of subscribers. That's really
It's definitely
it.
important.
Originally, I will say we were trying to, at the time.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Hell yeah, man.
Originally we were
Spread the word.
yeah.
That's what we say around here. Spread the word.
Yeah, spread the word.
Get people interested.
We're trying to get on the ground. We're trying to get more people. I'm wanting to get this thing. I want my channel to get bigger.
Of course.
I know Ben deleted the channel, but I'd say 1,000 at one point. But we're like, fuck it.
Well, the thing is, when you get 1,000 subscribers, you can do more with your channel. That's the reason why you want to hit 1K. I mean, because it's easier to control your channel then.
Yeah, community posts.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I want to be able to do that. Be able to have more community posts and interact with people who subscribed and all that shit. But I'm like, come on.
Like YouTube gives you more options to work with when you do hit 1K.
Yeah.
It's been hell trying to get there too. Like, I don't think I've had a new subscriber in the last week right now.
Yeah.
Then YouTube likes to fuck.
I know Speaking recently subscribed. I was looking at some other people who have subscribed and all that stuff.
You're getting there. Getting near 200.
Yeah, I'm definitely
Dude, it's a lot of work, man.
It took a while to get to
subscribe. If you want entertaining kick-ass metal content.
Yeah.
Do it. And definitely hit the like button. Definitely hit those like buttons, because the more people that hit those like buttons, or if you want to dislike, I don't give a fuck. But no, hit the like buttons, or use that button, because that's how your videos get out there, so other people can view them.
Yeah, that's
it's definitely about the likes. It's definitely about the views on YouTube.
Yes, we really care about wanting to get the views, wanting to get the subscribers. We want to be up there with the best and stuff. We're not asking for much when it comes to subscribers.
Not at all.
I say 1,000 is good.
Let's see if I can type it in. See if I can type it in the box here.
Damaged, Damaged, and then incorporated. I think INCORPORATED.
Let me try to get some more light here. I'm having trouble seeing here.
Yes.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun here. All right, yeah, I'm trying to type in the link for your channel. Okay, so we got. Is that the right one? No. Shift.
I was talking to this one dude. Okay, he said that I should review. Obviously, I did a collection update video, and a guy in there had suggested that I should review 2 albums that I just got at the record store. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Love Beach, and then Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Those are going to be 2 reviews that are going to be coming up hopefully soon.
All right, guys, here is the link.
Maybe after this stream, I might just start recording for those reviews.
All right, there's the link to Ryan's channel.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I believe I typed it right. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Got it memorized now, at least. But yeah, what were we talking about? subscribers. We did Heaven and Hell. Talked about 1980 a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other grounds we want to cover
Um,
tonight?
I just mentioned while you were looking up that I was going to be recording some reviews for Love Beach by Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway from Genesis.
Nice.
Those were a guy that saw the video, linked to the video, and said you should review Love Beach and The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, and I just finished listening to Love Beach. I just got to write down some stuff for that, but that's going to be coming out hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Oh yeah. Good band.
And obviously Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. It's one of the biggest prog rock albums around.
Of course, Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. Obviously, you got Greg Lake in it from King Crimson.
Greg Lake. I believe this is Keith Emerson right here. And then you got, I believe this is Palmer.
Yeah, I think you're right. Very talented musicians. I like watching their videos on YouTube sometimes.
Yeah.
Man, they could definitely play. Jeez.
Yeah, they can, yes. They're easily one of the best prog rock bands. I know they're already probably well established, but I would definitely do a trilogy of the prog rock bands. I'm just trying to think of what bands I could do. Like maybe some of the early ones, like I could do Pink Floyd, King Crimson, and maybe ELP, maybe either ELP. Yes, or what else? Who else did prog? Those Pink Floyd and King Crimson started in the '60s, so they're the easy ones. Yeah. I'm trying to remember, and maybe yes, they would be one of those. But they're,
I mean,
those three bands have a lot of albums.
Definitely Rush. Heck yeah, definitely Rush.
I think their first album was in '73.
74.
Yeah, 74. Yeah, 74.
The only album that did not have Neil Peart on it.
They would on Fly By Night. I might think that those bands. I mean, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, I could do a retrospective on because I've never seen anyone, even though they are pretty well known. No one's ever done a retrospective for them.
Not that I know.
Maybe there might have been one guy I might know that might have done them, but I might ask him if he ever did ELP. But I think, to my knowledge, no one's ever done Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
I haven't seen nobody.
Pink Floyd has been done. You can't really do King Crimson because that's.
They've
Rush,
been done.
I did a ranking for, but I want to redo Rush. Hopefully soon to have it be, a multi-part ranking videos. Who else would there been? Genesis. Genesis has got a lot of albums. They would be multi-part.
There's other bands too. Let's see. You got Captain Beyond.
Never heard of them.
You got Nectar. Nectar is a great band.
Never heard of them.
Gentle Giant, which were prog acts from the 70s. Eloy, German prog rock. Kind of like that krautrock stuff, a little bit.
I'm trying to think who.
Yeah, Ronnie James was in Black Sabbath. Yep.
Who else? Who do we put in that prog category? Jesus. So I already would determine in another trilogy it would be more ranking. So it would be Genesis, Rush. Was there any American? You mentioned Gentle Giant, maybe. Wait a minute.
Nectar.
Wait a minute. Was there?
You got Uriah Heep.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff from that era. Oh. I know Sea of Tranquility knows all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure all you know Sea of Tranquility, man. Pete Pardo. Probably the best channel on YouTube at the moment.
Man,
He covers everything from prog rock to death metal, thrash metal, heavy metal. He does it all.
I would try to think of who else. Wait a minute.
Deep Purple, yeah, I guess you
could
could put Deep
prog
Purple
band.
there.
There might have been a prog band called Camel.
Heck yeah, I love his channel, Pete Pardo. I usually never miss his videos.
Deep Purple.
Yeah, a little bit of proggy.
And an Iron Butterfly. I mean, they would kind of be in the same category. They would be in that same category with Pink Floyd. Yeah, maybe I could. Who was the band? Yes, I could throw an Iron Butterfly in there and have the SP with Genesis and Rush.
Yes, I agree. I love Scott's channel too. Scott Waters has an excellent channel. Yep. Ooh, Skyclad. I haven't listened to them in years. I do remember Skyclad though. They were like one of the first kind of they were kind of one of the first bands to add folk elements into their music. Basically pioneers of like folklore power metal. They had a little bit of a thrash influence too. Skyclad did. They haven't put out nothing in years because back in the 90s, they were putting out albums like every year. Then one day they just kind of disappeared. Yep, they were pure thrash before moving into more of that folk like territory.
We're good friends with the.
We love. Yep. Guys. Yep. Yeah, I know Scott. I know Thralls of Metal. I talk with Scott on Facebook sometimes. Oh yeah, Metal Mickey. He's cool too. I do know Metal Mickey also. Yes, definitely excellent channels.
Yeah,
definitely excellent channels, man.
Absolutely.
Right on, man.
Yeah, I think out of all the trilogies, Emerson Lake Palmer might be the only one that would get a retrospective. Everyone else would get a freaking ranking. King Crimson's too big, or maybe, and Pink Floyd would be a ranking.
Man, I was thinking of another band too from that era. They're kind of progressive, but they're also a little poppy. Electric Light Orchestra. They have some pretty good material.
And then maybe another trilogy would be.
Of course, you got.
Would be more of some modern prog. Like one that comes to mind would be Porcupine Tree.
Porcupine Tree, yep. Dream Theater, obviously. Spock's Beard.
Oh, fuck yeah, Dream Theater, yeah. I would see more not prog metal. We're looking at prog rock. Oh, Gandalf's Fist with some awareness for them. That would be
that's good.
And then maybe.
Ooh, yeah.
Shoot. I can't think of any other modern prog rock.
Symphony X, or are you just going for rock specifically?
That's prog metal. I said prog.
Oh, you're just going for
modern
rock.
Prog rock.
Well, you got Neil Morse. His solo material.
Transatlantic.
Yeah, Transatlantic too.
Transatlantic Francis Bacon.
Yep, Spock's Beard. That's more along
that
lines.
We have Porcupine Tree, Gandalf's Fist, and Transatlantic. There we go.
Yep.
I just realized freaking Transatlantic.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, prog definitely had an influence on metal, big time. I can understand why a lot of people don't like prog because of the lengthy songs, the musical time changes, and stuff like that, and the different
interpretations. If done right, they can feel short. They don't have to feel long.
Yeah, it depends how.
Depends
Yeah,
on
it
the
depends
band,
what it
really.
is.
Dream Theater have done it on both ends, where they can make a long song kind of short in some cases, and then you get moments of where this feels like it's drawing out for too long. Please stop.
The astonishing.
Not to
The
mention
astonishing.
illumination theory. I'll
Yeah,
basically
there's
say
songs it's
Octavarium
boring
and then
too.
Change of Seasons. Eat that shit for breakfast and just spit it
Yeah,
in
Dream
your freaking
Theater.
take a big shit on it.
Right. Uh, yeah, Dream Theater does have. Yeah, I would probably say their earlier stuff's probably the best, but there is some good stuff later on too. I don't know. It's all
Six
acquired
degrees,
taste, I
six
guess.
degrees is freaking
Yeah, that's a
great.
good one.
Metropolis Part 2 comes to mind. That's a freaking great concept
Yep.
album from them.
Yep. That's probably one of my
I
favorites.
say
Actually.
don't listen to everything from the self-titled onward, and you'll do just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Although the most recent album doesn't even have any long songs. The longest song on there, I believe, is only 9 minutes.
I think you're right. Yeah.
First album they did without even having long songs in a while, I believe. They've always had something pretty. They've always had like an epic or something on the album in some cases.
Right, totally.
Yeah,
Yep, very true. Yep, they did.
yeah, that is true.
I'd pick it up. It's got some heavy stuff on
Oh,
it too.
I think I got it. Like,
That's probably one of my favorite Dream Theater albums, to be
yeah,
honest.
I have that on CD. It's worth
Yeah,
it.
I got it too. I bought it back when it first came out. I used to really
Yes,
Dream
there
Theater.
is some lengthy songs on there, but they're all great. Glass
Yep.
Prison is freaking heavy.
Now their heaviest album, if you're into heavy albums, definitely go with
Thought.
yeah, Train of Thought. Easily Train of Thought. That's their heaviest
If
album.
you want something that's
That's
more of that metal sounding, I guess in a way, it's kind of thrashy in some cases. It's like
oh yeah,
them
some
doing
thrash.
what Metallica isn't going to do. They're doing thrashy. It's still
That's kind of
broad,
like
but it's very, very thrashy in some cases.
yeah,
As I am. Oh my god.
that's kind of like yeah, that's kind of like Dream Theater's Master of Puppets.
It's
It's
heavy.
written Master of Puppets
It's
in a
got its
way.
moments of melody and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's freaking heavy. Heavy.
Yeah, that's definitely a heavy album. You know what? Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, you're kind of right there. It is
I
kind
mean,
of
you did
broad.
have oh, trying to think, was it John Anderson or it's somebody from Yes that did guest keys on that album on Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Oh man, I gotta look it up now.
Rick Wakeman.
Yeah, it was Rick Wakeman. He did guest keyboard on Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I just forget what track he played on. Because at the time, Yes and Black Sabbath were recording literally next door.
Nice.
So that's how Rick Wakeman kind of got a guest slot on Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Now, I did hear something interesting one time. I heard this in actually one of Ralph Vieira's videos. That supposedly Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin supposedly recorded some music together, but it's completely locked away.
Wow.
Don't know how true that actually is. Yeah, Sabbath and Zeppelin. I believe This might have been around 74, 75. I can't remember. I'd have to actually watch the video again to be honest with you. But yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
It might be National Acrobat, to be honest. I think it might actually be. Yeah, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is kind of proggy the more I think about it. It's definitely a different album. It's a good album.
Yeah.
Not my favorite Black Sabbath album, but it's still a good album. I mean, it's got a couple tracks on it I really, really like. Like, obviously, the title track, Killing Yourself to Live's a great track. Sabracadabra's great, you know. Yeah, National Acrobat's another cool track. But, well, we are at the 1 hour mark. I believe we're going to cut it if you don't have nothing more to say.
I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much spent for tonight.
All
This was
I
fun to
will
do.
say, obviously, subscribe to Ben, subscribe to me on YouTube, and obviously we're also both on Utreon. So go ahead and follow us over there. Obviously, stay tuned for more content on both of our channels.
Right. Oh yeah, man. We had a blast. We always have a blast doing this. And we're going to continue to have a blast doing it. Oh yeah, by the way, subscribe to King of Swords, who was in the chat here earlier.
Yes, he happens to be a part of it. I got him. One of his videos obviously is going to be on my channel. It's a recent video of his. I ain't going to mention it. I'm keeping it a surprise. But y'all will know when you see it.
Heck
That's
yeah.
for you, Mike. If you're watching, if you're still there, of course.
Fucking right, man.
And
now coming up,
not to mention, look forward to my reviews of the Emerson, Lake and Palmer album and the Genesis album.
Right. Now coming up here on Metal Ben's Chronicles, I do plan to do an album ranking for Slayer. It's long overdue. I've been talking about doing it for a while. I'm going to finally get to the point, or I'm going to finally get on it and do it. You know, when the new, I almost said nude for whatever reason. must be getting tired.
Yeah.
But no, when the new Haunt CD gets here, because I do have that ordered, it's being shipped out now. Actually, I believe when that arrives, I'm going to be reviewing it. So yeah, look out. Be on the lookout for that. I want to do a stream talking about underrated thrash metal albums. I do want to do that. I want to talk about the year 1986 also.
Yes.
I do want to do that. I've been actually thinking about that one a lot as of late. Like extreme thrash albums that came out in 86. Yeah, man, there's a lot of shit coming from both ends. So definitely stay tuned for more. And for now, I am Metal Ben. And we are signing out. Keep it metal.